So Chris, Adam and Lewis had to go back to London to work, and I've been left at the chateau on my own. The weather's turned nasty, it's got really windy, and the tarpaulin is coming off. But you just, in moments like these, you just have to kind of push on and treat one little job at a time. Try to break things into small chunks and sort of keep going. And hopefully we'll be there in the end. Finally, the wind has calmed enough that I can actually be heard over the gales, and basically I've now got a couple of days. Chris is still in London, but my dad is going to be arriving very shortly. I've just had a visit from my mum, and the main job that I'm trying to get sorted now is doing all the pointing, because we can't quite finish the roof until we've had more of the woodwork stuff done, which is a bit out of our league. And so we're waiting for Adam to come back and help us with that project. But we've got to make the most of having the scaffolding. So all around the property, I'm on the ground floor now, but all around the property there's really bad bits of mortar which are just crumbling away, and on some bits of the property we've had mortar bees eat into it. So I will probably get my dad to do a little bit of pointing too. Right. But as you can see, all of this is really crumbly, and it's just a case of trying to scrape out as much of the loose material as you can so that we can put a nice wad of fresh mortar in there. Pushing. I find this quite a therapeutic job, but it's also quite time consuming. So when my dad gets here tomorrow, I am probably, if he's up for it, going to see if I can leave him to do this job, and then I can actually get on with the pool. Or another project I've got, which is sorting out a piece of wood that is one of the sort of decorative pieces of wood from the beams of the stable, which needs basically I just need to try and find a way of making a replacement, because it would be really sad to just have a square end when it's the other one's this pretty pointy feature. So I think that would be quite a fun little project. So if my dad is happy to help with the pointing, I will crack on with that job. And then I've got this little pointing tool, which isn't so helpful really on this, because it's more for doing pointing between bricks, but better than nothing. I actually find you can often do better just using your fingers. I just need a little more in there. There we go. So, Lewis has showed me how to make a lime mortar, and I think that's looking pretty good now. Yeah, I think we've just got to get some in the walls. So back on the scaffolding. If you look here, I think what we've had is, I suspect that might be mortar bees have been responsible for this, but you can see the mortar's been completely eaten away and there's all those tiny little holes. So I'm going to rake it out a bit and put some new mortar in there. So you can see here some of the pointing that I did last week. I was a little bit worried at first about the difference of colour between the orange sand and the slightly grey mortar that I've put in. But I spoke to a builder who said that actually it was probably more like this colour originally. And what's happened is they put too much lime in the mix, and then over time the sand and the lime has separated from the cement, which has probably fallen off in most of these places. So it is right up on the second floor, so I'm hoping it won't be too visible from too far away. Are you going to help on the scaffolding today, Dad?
Yeah, I'm going to do a bit of pointing to remove mortar that's been ferreted into by bees and make it all sound and secure.
Oh, brilliant. Shall I get you the knee pads?
That might be quite useful.
And if you kneel on these pieces of wood, it's probably a little bit better. But I'll grab you the knee pads. Or you can actually sit. You could probably sit on the edge.
This is very soft, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stick it back in.
Right. So Dad has kindly offered to help do all of the pointing on the stable roof. I've got another little project which is trying to turn this. I'm going to try and make a new one, or something as close as I possibly can, to replace it. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. You know, it's a bit chilly, so I might go and get changed. Trying to make something a bit like this. So as you can see, this has got a bit rotten, and so I want to try and create something that looks vaguely similar to it, because it's a kind of a nice decorative piece that sits on the end of the stables, on the, don't know what it's called, a beam that sits on the outside of the building. So yeah, I think I've got an idea of how I can do it. Probably have to do a bit of chiselling. I don't have a lathe. My plan is basically to use the table saw to try and cut in at the right angle, but first of all I need to try and, if I can, get all the way through this thick piece of wood, which I think is the right size. Oh, it's going to be tight. And then I'm going to try and use the table saw to make very precise cuts that will hopefully start to give it the shape that it needs. Annoyingly, my eyewear, where has it gone? Over here, I dropped in a bucket of water, which is just typical, isn't it? I should probably wear it anyway, safety first and all that. Soaking wet. I don't actually know if I'll be able to see out of these, that's the only thing.